Depression, huh? What can I say about depression that you haven't already heard? Why don't I just explain to you that you currently believe in... That was my cat's foot. We currently believe depression is this magical illness, right? This random illness that you just get genetically or some shit. But I want you to think about what depression actually is if you strip back the human-made title. It's sadness. It's an emotion. I want you to think about anxiety. Stripping back the title of anxiety. What's anxiety? Fear. Now, I don't know exactly if there's a scientific name that they use for anger, but for someone that gets angry, they're just angry. And they have reasons to be angry, right? Like if they have genuine reasons to be angry. Maybe not to react in such a poor way, but they have reasons for it. And if those reasons never showed up, I mean, again, some people would just be like, they'll just get angry at anything. And yeah, but it's like when one thing annoys you for a day, you get annoyed for the rest of the day. Do we call those people mentally ill? Do we say that that was like a magical illness that they had? Do we say that it's genetic? No, we just say they need anger management, right? Cat. And cat keeps wagging her tail. Anxiety has its reasons as well. You have a reason to be scared. Even if that reason's not accurate to reality or accurate to the actual output of what would happen, but there are reasons. And if those reasons don't exist, that person doesn't get anxious or doesn't get fear. Like, that's an emotion and they have reasons to exist. Depression, it might sound like there's no reason for you to have no energy and not feel like doing anything. It might sound like that, but just like anger and fear, you can have an inaccurate reason for why you're sad, or inaccurate reason for why the emotion is affecting you. And so in terms of anger and in terms of anxiety or fear, both of these emotions have a reason to give you energy. So anger to give you energy to act. This would be to fight. You know, the concept of fight or flight. Fight being anger and flight being fear. Anger, you have a reason to fight. Fear, you have a reason to run away, right? Think about someone that's anxious and avoiding social conflict. It's because they're afraid of the outcome. They have a reason to be afraid because of previous things that happened to them. Anger, they have reasons to have the conflict because they know what happens if you just run or you just avoid it, that you could make other things worse. And so they both have reasons to do how, both people have reasons, even if those reasons aren't in line with what most people would do or in line with what you would do, but they have a reason for it. That they, for whatever reason in their past experiences, decided that anger was the way to go, or decided that fear was the way to go. It's not until you get a better understanding of these two things that you overcome them. But this video is more of a topic around depression, and if you strip back that title, is sadness. And so sadness is a bit of the opposite when it comes to anger and fear. Is that instead of giving you energy to do something, it takes your energy from you in order for you to what? To do nothing. And before I explain what you're actually, maybe I'll explain what you're doing first. And I say what you're doing, it's what I do as well, but what I used to do extreme. And this is in reference to basically addictions and all of these things, is that instead of following the emotion to its reasoning, we instead feed ourselves with more substances. We feed ourselves with more dopamine things that try to get us happy. The thing is, sadness, it takes your energy from you to stop you from doing the thing that you're doing. It wants you to stop doing it. And I say it, but I really mean you. Just like with anger, you have a reason to be angry based on your past experiences. You have a reason to fear based on your past experiences. And you have reason to be sad about doing the same stupid tasks that you keep doing based on your experiences. And now you can probably already pinpoint what I'm about to say next on the tasks. Doom scrolling, games, porn, substances, toxic relationships. You know you shouldn't be doing any of these, right? But instead of actually fixing the problem by understanding what sadness is to get you to stop doing these things. When we feel sad, we instead pump ourselves full of other substances or do the next thing that's going to give us a dopamine rush. And that just continues that same cycle. Instead of actually overcoming the sadness, we stay in the sadness. We keep doom scrolling, and then when we're sad from doom scrolling, we go to games. Then when we're sad from games, we go to porn. Right? I probably just accurately guessed 95% of you guys, right? And now I want you to think about someone that is successful, has a good physique, good diets, good relationships, and I say good relationships in the way that you think that they're not super bad. They would have their problems, but not super bad. These people just won't be depressed. You can already think about the type of people that have depression like you. They're doing the same things as you. You can genuinely try to guess, I guess. Try to guess the other people watching this video, the other depressed people, what would they be doing? And you could probably guess it's probably majority of the shit that you're doing, right? It's because you know how meaningless these are, and so you are infused with sadness, depression, and then you continue to do them, so you stay sad for longer. And then you are convinced you have this magical illness called depression, right? And it's genetic. No, it's because you have a similar brain to your ancestors, and they understood what was meaningful as well. And so eventually, with enough experience, you have a similar experience to them and a similar reaction to them. And that's why depression is genetic. Everyone has different meanings in their life about things, but it's often about experience. If you grew up with your parents, you have a different experience to other people and how they grew up. And so some people are fine with doom scrolling. Some people are fine playing games. Some people are pro gamers. But a lot of people are depressed when they do these things because, in general, they are kind of meaningless. Even if you're a pro gamer, it's there's some status there, but I don't know, I still don't really care about it. So, yeah. At one point I did want to become a pro gamer, and so maybe I'm talking out my ass there. So, but yeah, and so I'll explain what's happening there and the cycle that you're stuck in. Is that the way dopamine actually works in the brain, and it, pretty much when you do a task, it gives you dopamine, which is basically happy. It makes you happy. You know? And you're like, no, these tasks don't make me happy. They used to. They used to make you happy. But then over time, to get the same level of happiness in say like a game, or the same level of happiness in porn, you actually grew a tolerance to it. The thing is, I would take it one step back, is that when you get the dopamine, after you finish a task, you actually go below base level. So after every task, you actually become sad. But the tasks that have meaningfulness in them are then replaced with serotonin. And so, yeah, so just quickly, before you panic and think that every happy thing you do is going to make you sad, no, it's every happy thing you do that has no meaning behind it, that you know is not fulfilling. You know is not fulfilling. You can't lie to yourself. You can't lie to yourself and say, oh, games are so meaningful, or porn is so meaningful, or doom scrolling is so meaningful. I mean, you can make doom scrolling a bit more educational, and then therefore it becomes a little bit more meaningful, right? But you know that's not what you're doing it for. You're doing it for like this 2, 6 hours, however long, for meaningless shit that you're never gonna remember anyway. You might remember like 1 or 2 videos out of the whole 6 hours that you're doom scrolling, right? And so you doom scroll, and then after you finish doom scrolling, sad. How do I fix my sadness? Oh, maybe I can play games. Sad. How do I fix the sad? Oh, maybe I'll just jerk off. Oh, how do I fix the sad now? Substances, right? And there's your cycles that you're just fixing the symptom of sadness rather than the actual reason why you're sad to begin with. And this is why you think you have this magical illness. You keep fixing sadness when sadness was there for a reason, to stop you from doing the stupid shit. You meant to stop and think about what you were just doing and why it was so meaningless, and then improve upon that. And so I want to change the current belief that everyone has about why depression is a thing. There's two. The first one is the most common. We believe our life sucks because we have depression, right? We believe our life sucks because we have this magical illness. The thing is, if you understand what sadness actually is for, it's the other way around. Is that you have depression because your life sucks. You have depression because your life sucks. You know your life sucks. So it's no wonder you have depression. You can think to yourself right now, it's no wonder I have depression. My life sucks. You can think that. But for some reason, you think that you have this magical illness. But that's just because you've been convinced. You've been falsely convinced by people that are making money off you. Right? And I won't get too into that, but I mean, if you're in certain countries that you have healthcare, they're making easy money off you, and you think it. Oh, I say off you, but it's more the taxpayer. So, um, your 14 days of meds, that's like $700, $900 in their pocket. So for every 14 days you're depressed, every 14 days, so 140 days, a year, 2 years, 3 years, think of all that money just off one person that's depressed, this magical illness, right? And so, yeah. No, reason number two, you basically probably fried your fucking dopamine circuits in your brain from bad diets, poor exercise. Your brain is likely just outright unhealthy now too. And so it's a mix of the shitty life and a mix of shitty physical brain. And so we often separate the brain from the mind, and for some reason we also separate the brain from the body. Like as if your sickness in your body, or your weakened body, your extremely exhausted all the time body, all of it, like we just think that's separate from the brain. No. If your body's affected by something, it's most likely your body's also your whole body is affected. Your whole body's always connected and talking to itself. So fixes, quite easy, quite quick, but then to get an optimal brain takes years plus. But you don't need an optimal brain to start feeling happy again, right? To actually start enjoying life again takes weeks. Only takes weeks. And when you understand the actual value of that, you've just been fucked over, and you've got these incorrect beliefs about how depression works. If you want to hear it straight from the scientists and stuff that talk about it, search up Andrew Huberman podcasts, and both him and Anna Lemke, I think that's her name, they'll talk about how dopamine actually works and how you're 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 magically depressed and magically addicted, right? And so cold turkey, you're looking at trying to do something near impossible. And if you're someone that thinks about trying to quit cold turkey and try to improve your life cold turkey, it's the same as wanting that quick fix, that pill. That same reason why you want the quick pill to fix everything is the same reason why you want to fix your life super fucking quickly, right? They're both one in the same coin, and so you need to get that bullshit out of your head that it's gonna be that single day pill, or that single day just fixes your whole life in one day. It takes weeks, but to become optimal takes months to years. You know, and this is someone that's felt the differences over months. I genuinely am able to like identify like the improvements in my speech and my thinking and my speed, how I like think. And so I learn what a dopamine detox is. I'm not saying you have to do one, but like learn the concept of it. I think the idea of it is right, but the actual, I guess, the movement of it is not very accurate to how like addictions and things like that work. I haven't fully looked into that because it's more like a community thing, kind of like no fap, and it's more like as soon as you understand the mechanisms, then you know what you can be doing. It's not so much like this monk mode dopamine detox how they talk about it. And so I learned about dopamine, Andrew Huberman podcast, and then what worked for me that took weeks to get me back to better levels. Of course, I quit my alcohol. I fasted, so I learned fasting, good diet, exercise, and this one was probably the one that's most common amongst people that are depressed. And you will know this, and you can think about the other people that are depressed like you, is that you don't get sunlight, so you don't get vitamin D, and this is an actual issue. And of course, they locked us down so we don't get more sunlight. Um, Even though if you Google it right now, how deficient people are when it comes to vitamin D, you'll see it's like ridiculous percentages of the whole population. But on top of that, I urge you for more than just vitamin D, and look up. Again, you can do this with the circadian rhythm. Like do this with Andrew Huberman. That if you look up the circadian rhythm, that you understand that it's more than just vitamin D that we get from the sun. And so being indoors 24/7 also is affecting your mental, also making you sadder. So there's all these things that are potentially making you sad. If you want to look up fasting, there's 2 doctors for that one. There is Dr. Eric Berg and Dr. Ekberg. I know they have very similar names. It's kind of funny. Both on YouTube, and they both love fasting. And of course, the reason why the people that keep giving you pills don't like fasting, because they can't make money off it. They're not making $700 on it when you fast. Fasting is free. Fasting is the natural way the body recovers. That's what our ancestors used to do in the wild. They didn't eat 5 meals a day, 10 snacks. They didn't have that shit. They didn't have a fridge. So fasting was the way to go. If you're interested in the other emotions, like the breakdowns of the other emotions, I'm happy to do them in other videos. But for right now, this video is focused on depression. So you have any questions about how I did it, how um, you know, like what other sources that you want me to mention, other questions you have, if like pop them down in the comment section, and I'm happy to help because I know more than way more than the average person on this shit. So, anyways, have a great day. Good luck.